French President Emmanuel Macron says a de-escalation of tensions between Russia and Ukraine is possible following meetings with both leaders in the last 48 hours. Well, Macron met President Zelenskyy in Kyiv after holding lengthy talks with President Putin in Moscow on Monday. The French president says both leaders have committed to honouring the Minsk Accords, a 2014 agreement that sought to end the conflict between Russian-backed separatists and government forces in eastern Ukraine. But Macron stressed that more dialogue was needed in order to bring about peace.
On the basis of this double commitment, Russian and Ukrainian, we now have the opportunity to move these negotiations forward. A lot of time has been wasted in questioning this or that format and this or that method of negotiation. I believe that it is now time for all the participants in these negotiations to engage in a dialogue in good faith. And the path is possible, and we are willing, as far as Germany and France are concerned, to accompany you on this path.
Well, in relation to adhering to the Minsk agreement, President Putin told the Ukrainian leader that he'd have to, like it or not, but would have to bear with it, my beauty. President Zelenskyy responded, saying that his country is showing restraint and dignity.
Ukraine is very patient because it's very wise. I think it's very important, not only for Ukraine, but also for all of Europe and for Russians, because the escalation depends on our patience. Escalation is coming from the other side. We protect our country. We are in our territory. Our patience has an impact on provocations when we don't respond to it, but behave with great dignity.
And our international correspondent Annalise Borges joins us now. She is in Popasna in eastern Ukraine. Welcome to you. Good evening, Annalise. Good to see you. To begin with, do we have now a better idea of those proposals that Macron put on the table when he was in Moscow yesterday?
Hi there. Well, it's been quite interesting to note just how much the perception of what was achieved in that meeting has evolved throughout the day. First, we got a word from Macron's team that he had indeed gotten assurances by the Russian president that the Russian troops stationed in Belarus would be returning home. That information was later denied by the Kremlin, that said that was part of the plan all along, that Russian troops will return after those joint military exercises with Belarus, and that was nothing new, that was not part of any kind of achievement from that meeting. And a few moments ago, we've heard from France's president saying that that was just a misunderstanding. Journalists got his point wrong. What he was very happy about with regards to yesterday's meeting in Moscow was the fact that they started a process of de-escalation and of rebuilding of trust. Emmanuel Macron said that there are two issues here that are going to have to be worked out in parallel. One is, of course, the de-escalation with regards to the current buildup of tensions, with regards to the current buildup of troops on the other side of the border. But of course, he says the important aspect is to remember that there is an ongoing conflict that needs to be sorted, that those talks within the Normandy format, those talks around the Minsk agreements, they need to continue. He insisted that this process is not going to happen overnight. He said that if people were expecting a breakthrough in one meeting, they were, of course, wrong to expect that is going to be a lengthy process, but that is better than nothing. And of course, what he did basically here is that he's buying more time, not only for Europe, but also for Russia. It's going to be interesting to see just how much that evolves over the next few days. That meeting in Moscow was questioned here in Ukraine today during those talks with President Zelenskyy. But so far, Emmanuel Macron, who's basically representing the whole of Europe, remains optimistic that a process has started, a process that will eventually, he hopes at least, will lead towards peace and stability for this region.
Annalise, crucially, I have to ask you, do we have any sense about what the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy makes about all of this? Because after all, some of these ideas, proposals, statements, they're about his country.
Well, Volodymyr Zelenskyy once again thanked Emmanuel Macron for his continuous support. This is the first visit by a French head of state to Ukraine in 24 years, and a visit at a moment like this actually counts. He was once again very careful with his words. You heard there earlier him talking about patience, saying that his country was actually very resilient and would stand firm with regards to its positions. But of course, he also mentioned that it was very important to have the continuous support from the West right now. Words will matter as much as actions, and Volodymyr Zelenskyy knows that. He also knows that his country stands the most to lose here if there was a full-fledged war, if Russian troops and Russian tanks were indeed to roll out through these streets. But what is perhaps even more interesting to note is just how all those different initiatives of diplomacy have been perceived here. I'm standing right now in the Donbass region in the east part of Ukraine. This region has been facing a conflict for the past 8 years. It has been suffering with that conflict, a conflict that has claimed more than 14,000 lives. It has displaced over 1 million people. People here have been feeling a mixture of skepticism and resentment. Zelenskyy mentioned there the importance of cooperation in the future with regards also to financial aid, not only military aid. And that was something that was brought up here today. Throughout the day, I've been asking people whether or not they knew that Emmanuel Macron was in Kyiv, whether or not they knew that there was all this diplomatic activity going on. And they said, yes, we've heard that the entire world is watching Ukraine right now. But honestly, they have all but forgotten the conflict that we've been experiencing. And with regards to aid, quite a few people here told me that that aid never really reaches them, that they are struggling. One woman said that she is more afraid of not being able to feed her family than she is of Russian troops on the other side of the border.